Welcome. In this video, we are going to talk about vectors and just some basics about them. So your objective, I will be able to write the component form of vectors, find vector magnitude, and perform basic vector operations. So what are vectors? Well, it helps to compare it to ways that we use numbers and vectors. So a single real number can represent magnitude. And some common examples of this are volume, distance, temperature, height. Almost everything that we have worked with this year, right, is represented by a single number that's representing a magnitude. However, sometimes you're going to need to represent more than just the magnitude, and that's where vectors come in. Vectors can represent magnitude and direction, right? So more than just magnitude. So an example of this would be force, velocity, acceleration, right? You can think about these things that are happening in a direction. All right, so graphically, we represent vectors as an arrow in the plane, right? So you would think, well, that if there's magnitude and direction, well, direction is infinite, right? You could have an infinite direction. But we can represent it in the plane in standard position. And actually, let's make a note about this, that this is actually in standard position. Right? Then we can have both magnitude and direction by denoting it with a point, right? So that's a point. But the direction and the magnitude come from the fact that it's an arrow starting from the origin and going to that point, okay? So now we can see that this, and then the magnitude is the length of this arrow. So get that note in there. The magnitude is the length of the arrow, and then the direction is the direction of the arrow, which is really just this point. But while a point is shown by parentheses around two values, a vector is shown with these kind of pointy parentheses here. Okay, so if this is a vector graphically in standard form, let's look at a vector algebraically in what we call component form. All right, so we would call a vector, and has a name. Sometimes it's denoted by the letter V, but it could be other letters, but it just is denoted by a single letter. So vector, in this case, it's vector V, is equal to, and then component form, just like I showed you over here, has these little pointy parentheses. And just like how this is a point, right, of A, B, this A also represents horizontal, so it's the horizontal component of the vector. And then B is the vertical component of the vector. So make sure you get that down. Now let's talk about the magnitude. So the magnitude is denoted with this notation here, right? So if you have vector V, this would show or be the correct notation for the magnitude of vector V. Okay, and so to find the magnitude of vector V, right, we really are just finding, remember over here graphically, let me get this centered. Over here graphically, it is the length of this arrow, right? And they can be different lengths. Let me just, you don't have to draw this one in here, but I could have another vector here, right, that's much shorter and has a different A and B, right? All right, so it's a length, and we could find length using the distance formula. However, if we're in standard position, one of the points is 0, 0. So if we're in standard position or are given the component form, then we can just use the Pythagorean theorem, essentially. Or if you think to the distance formula, once you are subtracting 0 from your A value and 0 from your B value, you still have A and B. Okay, so there's our magnitude and our formula for magnitude. All right, so those are what vectors are in standard position and component form. Now let's look at equivalent vectors. So equivalent vectors are two or more vectors that have the same magnitude and direction. So you can have a vector that's not in the standard position, right? Standard position, again, being where the initial point is at 0, 0. So let's just draw one over here. All right, here's a vector. It's not in standard position. And there could be another vector that is someplace else, right? Again, not in standard position. So we would need to show, well, I can show you graphically, but really we're going to show it algebraically, that these two vectors are actually equivalent. But if I were to move these vectors, right, into standard position, or write the vector in component form, they're going to have the same component form, right? So we have these two vectors, but they're equivalent even though they're not in standard position. All right, so the way we can do that is if an arrow has an initial position of x sub 1, y sub 1, and a terminal position of x sub 2 and y sub 2, it represents the vector x sub 2 minus x sub 1, comma, y sub 2 minus y sub 1, right? With the x and y points here, we're just saying if I have this, and this is x sub 1, y sub 1, and this point here is x sub 2, y sub 2, right? Then we're just subtracting the head minus the tail. This puts the vector in component form. So it's basically just a formula to put our vector in component form. All right, so algebraically show that these vectors are equivalent by putting the vectors in component form and then finding their magnitude. So we're going to have to actually figure out what the x and y coordinates are of this and list them over here. So I have my vector PQ, right, or my ray PQ that's representing my vector PQ. And I need to find out what P is and what Q is. All right, there are my points, and I went to the very end here. And then I have ray TU that's made up of the points T and U. All right, so let's go ahead and get this one into component form first. Now, we could certainly find the magnitude, just as a side note, we could certainly find the magnitude here, right, by using the distance formula right away. But since we're going to put it into component form first, let's go ahead and do that, which you'll notice really what you're doing there is part of the distance formula. You don't need to write this down unless you want to, but this is the distance formula here. I keep bringing it up, and I don't know if it's really something you can picture in your head, right? But if I take the distance formula, but first I put my vector in component form, that's part of the distance formula. And then once I've done that, then really what my formula is just this. Hopefully you see all those connections there. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and change PQ to the component form of the vector. So I'm going to take my head, Q, and I'm going to subtract the tail of the x values. So -2 minus a -5 is +5. That is going to be the x value in my component form of this vector. And then 8 minus 2. Simplify these, and I'm getting 3, 6. So let's see that same vector in standard form. So I'm going to trace over it. I'm going to move it. There we go. And now it should be at 3, 6. And I can see here's 3, here's 6. There we go. So if ray TU is an equivalent vector, it's going to end up also being in component form 3, 6. Why don't you go ahead and try to find TU? Pause and rejoin when you're ready. There we go. Hopefully you got the same thing. A little bit of subtraction here. And we can also see that if we were to take this one and just move it into standard position, it falls right on the same spot there. All right, those are equivalent vectors. We've proven it, but now let's find their magnitude. So I can either use the points, right, and then use the distance formula, or now that I've already done that process, I'm just going to go ahead and find their magnitude, which is going to be the same, denoted like this, by taking the square root of the a value squared plus the b value squared. So I'm getting 9 plus 36, the square root of 45. So the magnitude of this vector is the square root of 45, or 3 root 5. Okay, now let's get into vector operations. And so we have vector addition, which is adding or subtracting vectors, because even when you're subtracting, you're just adding by a negative number. So we call that vector addition. And then we have vector scalar multiplication. So that just means that we're multiplying a vector by a factor called a scalar. Okay, so I'm going to show this to you graphically, and then we will do it algebraically. So we're going to add a couple of vectors together. So we're going to first want to draw these vectors. It's going to be a little bit easier for me to move these around because I'm working on an iPad, but I would at least maybe use different colors if you have them. Might help. So I'm going to make this one blue. I'm going to make this one red. All right, so I have vector u at 2, -3, which is right here. And I'm going to put it in standard position. And then I have vector v at -5, -2, so -5, -2. Okay, and there's a couple ways we can represent this graphically, but if we're adding two vectors together, right, we're not just adding a magnitude, we're not just making one of them bigger, but we're adding a magnitude and a direction, so the resulting vector is going to have a direction that's different than the two of these. Okay, so one way we can represent this is tail to head, meaning I'm just going to move the tail of this one so that it matches the head of that other one, and now my resultant vector is this guy right here in standard position. There we go, there's our resultant vector. All right, I do want to show you, you don't have to move this back, but look how this looks, right? It was someplace between those two. So just follow along here. This is one way, head to tail, and I'm going to move that red one back in a moment. So it's fine to keep your notes the way they are. There's also the parallelogram way to represent this, just that if I were to take, let's see, this guy and duplicate it, right? And so I'm going to start to form a parallelogram, and I take this other one, the blue one, and duplicate it, and therefore I make a parallelogram. You can see how we're going to end up in the same spot. So it's a good way to visualize it, right? That it's between the two, because when we get into modeling with this, we'll be pulling something in this direction, pulling something in this direction, and ultimately it's going to move in this direction. So it's good to understand how the resultant vector is affected by the two original vectors. So I'll actually just leave this just like this, so you can have it either way in your notes. All right, let's jump down here and do this algebraically, right? And see if it matches. But I'm looking here and I am seeing that it ends up, it looks to me like they all ended up at -3, -5. So when I do this algebraically, I should get the same answer here in component form. So to show you these steps algebraically, I am taking u and adding it to v. So I have 2, -3, plus -5, -2. That means I'm going to add the x components to the x component. So 2 plus a -5 is 2 minus 5. And then -3 minus a -2, I'm putting it in component form here because I'm now going to find my resultant x value, which is -3, and my resultant y value, which is -5. So it does match. Whoops, drew the wrong thing on the end here though. All right, I've already put my vectors on here. If you need to, pause the video so that way you get your vectors on here as well. All right, so now we're going to do subtraction. Now, remember that I called this vector addition because what we're really going to do here is we're going to take u and add it to a -v. So remember, use the blue one and v is the red one. So to make this -v, what that means is we're going to have it go in the opposite direction. The magnitude is going to stay the same, but the x value and y value are going to become the exact opposite. Let me get that on the screen. So instead of -5, -2, it's going to be +5 and +2. So I'm going to send it that way, right? And now I'm going to add the two of these. So you can leave it there if you like, but I'm just going to erase it to be nice and clear. And then we can do the head to tail or the parallelogram. It's less work for me to show it graphically head to tail. So I'm just going to grab this one, move it head to tail, and the resulting vector is right there. Okay, again, I can see what that is in component form, and then I'm going to check it algebraically below. So this would be +7 and -1 is what it looks like I'm getting. Why don't you pause the video and see if you can come up with the work to prove this algebraically. Okay, here's my work here. But I'm subtracting the two, and then you notice this works just like you would think, is I'm actually multiplying this one by a negative, right? And that makes them positive. And then here's my x components that I'm adding together, my y components, and I did in fact get 7, -1. I hope you did too. Okay, for this last one, we're just going to take vector u, so I've just plotted the 1 here, and we're going to do some vector scalar multiplication. So this is saying 3 times u, it's going to get 3 times bigger. So I'm just going to tail to head here, copy them over, until it stretches out here and come up with that resulting vector. Okay, I just copied mine over, and now I'm going to put them tail to head. I think I have an extra one in here. Okay, did my best to get this all lined up perfectly. So the resultant vector, all right, is going to go right on top of it, and in component form, I am finding this is 6, -9, which makes sense, right? We're just multiplying the x and the y value by 3. So algebraically, that's what's going to happen down here. So down here, I'll show this algebraically as 3 times my vector in component form, 2, -3, and I just multiply that 3 by the horizontal component, get 6, and by the vertical component, get 9. There we go. That does match with what we have above. And we will mostly focus on this in algebraic form, but it's really good to see what's actually happening here because it'll help you understand the connection between the two.